Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Daled Amud Aleph 104a. We are by the two dots. The two dots we are talking about right now in the Mishnah, that a gazlan cannot come and pay back whether it's the son or the shaliach. It has to go directly back to the hands of the person that was stolen from. Okay, but he could do it to the shliach bedin. Okay, so says the Gemara, eat what it was stated. Shliach shasao bedin. A shliach, if for example Reuven had money right in the hands of Shimon, so Reuven comes and he makes a shliach in front of Edim to accept the money. So Shimon gave it to the shaliach, right? Meaning Reuven comes, he says, "Go pick up my money," and he did it in front of Edim. Rav Chasta says it's going to be a shaliach, and therefore he could pick up the money. Okay, and that means the second that the Shimon gives him the money to the shaliach, that's it, he's patur. And Rabbi says it's not considered a shaliach. Rav Chasta says, "Havi shliach lehachi tarach liukme bedin." That's why he made Edim, right? Why did he make Edim? Teleku birshuteh, in order that the money is going to be in his reshut. That means the second that it becomes in his hands, that's it. The Rabba Amar, and Rabba says it's not going to be a shaliach. Haki kamar. This is what it means to say. Inish mehem nahu. This person is ben adam ne'eman, the shaliach, and therefore yisamach tzimoch. If you want to be somech on him, you could be somech on him. If you want to send the money, you could send it in his hand, but not that he's going to become patur the second that he gets his hands. Meaning, right now the guy comes and he gives the money to the shaliach, but he wasn't actually trying to tell him that once you give the money to the shaliach, now you're patur. Until it doesn't get to my hands, you're still chayav. But it was just to tell you this guy's a very trustworthy person and I trust him. But that's it. But now that you're going to become patur. So today we learned in the Mishnah b'metzia, hashoel et hapara v'shilcha biyad beno biyad avdo biyad shlucho o biyad beno biyad avdo biyad shlucho shel hashoel. So imagine right now you borrow a para. Now you sent the para, right, in the hands of the son of the mashil, the servant or the shaliach, or in the hands of your son, your servant, your shliach, of the borrower, umeta. Now the para dies in the middle of the path. You're going to be patur from paying, right?
But the Mishnah, it says don't give it to Libno.
Well, one second. That's what we're going to try to find out. So says the Gemara, it's going to be patur from paying back. Okay? Now, first of all, right, just understand, here we're talking about borrowing. The Mishnah was talking about stealing. They're two different halachot. That's number one. Right? But either way, we're going to try to find out, to analyze what's going on. So says the Gemara, but what is the shaliach then? What are we talking about here? That you're giving it in the hands of the shaliach, of the one that left it to you. So he says, if it's that you didn't do it with edim, and how do we know that he's a shliach? Imagine I come and I tell you, listen, I'm the shliach of it. Give me whoever told you that I'm the shliach. Yeah. How do you know? You give me the money, I say, hasta la vista. Yeah, I come, I go, and that's it. Yeah? Ela barado, dasa be'edim. Right? You did it with edim. The ktani patur. And we said you're going to be patur. The kasha Rav Chasta, this is going to be a question against Rav Chasta. So says the Gemara, Kedam Rav Chasta, just like Rav Chasta says, B'schiro kito. No, we're talking about the shliach, which is already going to be his sechir and his. What does that mean? Meaning that you already know that he already uses him for milacha, and therefore, since he's always by him, that's why he's called shlucho. Not because he made him actually a shliach bin furash, but rather because this is the guy that works for him all the time. You know that. Hachanami. So to hear the exact same thing when it says shlucho, right? We're talking about b'schiro kito. Okay, not does as be the shliach, even one of his workers. Okay, so Tanan, lo yiten lo livno, lo lishucho. So says the Gemara, 1 second, but it says that you're not supposed to give it in the hands of a shaliach. So this is obviously going to be against Rav Chasta. Yeah? So he comes and he says, Hai shlucho echidami. What's the case of the shliach? Telo asa be'edim. And how do you know it's going to be elalav? You did make it with edim. So answers the Gemara, no. The Gemara of Chasta b'schiro kito, the same thing. Now Chasta says that our Mishnah was talking about a shliach, which is a sachid, schiro v'likito, meaning somebody that works for him, and therefore in such a case, that's why he's called shlucho. Not that he made him a shliach. It was be'emet, if he did actually make him a shliach, then he could actually send it in him, right? He could send the money with him. How about shliach shaso be'dimai? What's halacha? So it is a good shliach. So the Tani Seifa, but when the Seifa says zavanotenu shliach be'din, so why don't you just make a different sound? Meaning, what did I start telling you? You're not allowed to give it over to the hand of the son or to a shliach, but you are allowed to give it shliach bedin. 1 second. Why don't you already say that it all depends on what type of shliach? Shliach bedin, for sure you could give it to a shliach bedin, but even without shliach bedin, if you come and you made the shliach in front of a din, that's already enough. So says the Gemara, why don't you just make a differentiation in the case and say it? Shliach she'asau bedin, hachanami dav shliach. The same thing. If you made it with a din, you could make it with shliach. So Amri, so they said, lo psikale, right? It's not 100% to say such a thing, which means you couldn't just say stam that a gazlan could come and give the money to a shliach, which was done bedin, right? Because it's not 100% correct in all the cases. So therefore, because of that, right, you only just said shliach bedin, right? Because shliach bedin you could always give it to him, but he didn't want to, he didn't want. So says the Gemara, shliach bedin, right? Lo shna sao nigzal, lo shna sao gazlan, have a shliach. He says, do you know, there's no difference whether it's the nigzal or the gazlan that makes a shliach bedin, right? Remember, the shliach bedin means it was done in front of a bedin, which means that in front of the bedin, they made him into a shaliach, okay? Or whether it was this, I mean, it doesn't matter. Who was the one that appointed him? It's going to be a shliach. The psikale, and therefore this is 100% accurate. Shliach she'asao bedin, dechiasao nigzal hu shliach, she'asao gazlan lo shliach, lo psikale. He says like this, the shliach bedin always works. And since the shliach bedin always works, we went into the Mishnah. You could always give it to a shliach bedin. Now, why does it always work? Because it doesn't matter who appoints the shliach, whether it's the gazal, the gazlan, or the nigzal, meaning the one that stole or the one that got stolen from. It's always going to be a good shlichut. It's always going to be good. So therefore, it's good. Why? Because it was done in front of bedin. But to do a shliach that was done with a din, he says it all depends who did it. He says if it was done by the nigzal, right, it's going to be a good shliach. But if it was done by the gazlan, it's not a good shliach. So because of that, we didn't want to mention it. We wanted to exclude that which we learned in another Tana that we learned in the Braita, the Tanya, Shimon Lazar says shliach betin shasao nigzal velo asao gazlan or asao gazlan, right? The shalach hala v'natal et shalom yado patu. It comes out that there we're talking about a shliach bedin. So a shliach bedin is going to become patur, whether we're talking about right now a shasao nigzal, right, and he didn't make it, the gazlan didn't make it, or asao gazlan. That means it doesn't matter, right? V'shalach hala v'natal et shalom yado, and he took it from him. It's going to be patur from onsin the second that it happened. So you see from here, right, that in such a case, right, again we're going to talk about that by the shliach bedin, it's always going to help. It doesn't matter whether it was done by the nigzal or by the gazlan. Okay, now again, but there is going to be a difference because he's only going to become patur from achrayut, right? Even if it was going to be done by mesirut shliach bedin, right? Only if it's going to become patur. He says over here, if the other one sent and actually took it from him. Okay? That's what he's saying over here. So this davka shliach bedin, which was done from the nigzal, right? So the netina is going to poter it completely, right? But not shliach bedin that was done by the gazlan. Okay, so this shita, obviously, of Shimon and Lazar is not the same shita that we just learned before. That's why it says la puke ma'itana. Come to exclude this tana, right? That he doesn't have the same shita. Okay? Next, we're going to bring other Amurayim that also hold like Rav Chasta. Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Lazar damri tervayu shaliach shasao bedin havi shliach. Right? So also the same thing. They hold that if you made it in front of edim, it's a shliach. And the second that it gets to his hand, patur. That's it. You don't have to pay anything back anymore. Because even if it was stolen or whatever, it doesn't matter. That's it. You could ask a question. What about our Mishnah? So he says, b'mamsilo shaliach. Right? We're talking about where the nigzal was asking, right, from a person to find, right, the ashaliach. Okay? The Elmaleh that he says, I've got money by this guy. And he doesn't want to send it to me. Go to him. Is maybe he can't find the shaliach. Meaning the guy comes and he says, you know what, maybe he can't find the shaliach. That's why he's not giving it. So go to him and then So inami, or you could say another explanation. When we're talking about the shlucho of the nigzal that we're talking about, is like Rav Chasta, the schirol kito. Right? Do you remember the guy that always works for him? Meaning that you come and you always see the guy. He's working in his house. He's his chauffeur. He's his this. He's that. So you already know that this is his worker. Okay, fine. Amar Rav Yehuda Mashmuel says Rav Yehuda in the name of Shemuel. Okay, Kuvdala Damubet. En meshalchin maot b'diokni. So he says over here like this: you're not allowed to send money, right? With, like for example, in the hands of a shaliach that he has a chotam or simanim of the balei amot, because then he does not become patur from that. So for example, Reuven is owing money to Shimon. Okay, somebody comes and he tells to Shimon, right, that they sent him in order to send the money, and he shows him like a chotam, or he shows him something that Shimon gives as a proof. Reuven should not send the money. Why? Because if it's going to become an onus before it gets to him, he's still going to be chayav. And the reason why is because when he sends a shliach in such a case, he's not mitkaven that it's going to be shlucho mamash, right? And that he should become patur, but the kavanah is to show him, right? Meaning he's only just giving him like a thing, but it's not my responsibility. Right? Nowadays, this happens all the time with Amazon and all those things when they make deliveries, and then there's all these thieves and package thieves and all these things. Who's obligated for all those things? Okay? And even if you're going to have witnesses which are signed on this document, the same thing. Don't give it to them. Rabbi Yochanan says, no. Says Rabbi Yochanan, if there's bemet edim, you could send it because then you're not obligated anymore in the achrayut. Meaning you're not obligated anymore if anything happens to this document, to this object. Okay? Why? Because he's got a document signed in there. Oh, that's it. So Amri, so says the Gemara, according to Shemuel, because remember, this was going to be, right, according to Shemuel, what's the takana in such a case? Somebody wants to send a shliach with the money. How does he do it? At the end of the day, he wants to get out of the achrayut. So how does he get out of the achrayut? Meaning, until it doesn't get into the guy's hands, he's still going to be chayav. So how does he get out of that? So says the Gemara, Ki had Rabbi Abba right Abumask Zuzi with Rabbi Yosef bar Chama. Rabbi Abba had money in the hands of Yosef bar Chama. Elmaleh Rav Safra, Rabbi Abba told Rav Safra, Behadi datit, right? When you're going to come to here back, meaning when you're coming back here, back to the city, bring it to me. When he went over there, the son came, right? Rava comes, the son of Rabbi Yosef bar Chama comes and he tells him, Mi katav lecha itkabalti? Does Rabbi Abba, did he write you a shovar? Did he write you a receipt that I accepted the money from Rabbi Safra? That you could actually give it to my father in order that you don't have the machrayut? Elmaleh, he says no, right? So he says, Yahachiv, so zil bereisha, go to the beginning. V'yichtov lecha itkabalti. He's going to write a shovar, a receipt, right, that it's going to be written over there, hitkabalti, that I actually accepted it. And lesof, and then afterwards he asked again, V'amaleh, and he told him, Ikatav lecha nami itkabalti, lav klum. Even if he would have written itkabalti, it doesn't help. Dilma de'ati shachiv Rabbi Abba, because maybe he's going to pass away. V'naflu zuze kamiyat, and now it's going to come in front of the Yitomim. Itkabalti de Rabbi Abba, lav klum. So now the Rabbi Abba coming and saying that he got the money is nothing. So Amar Lei, so he tells him, so what's the taganta then? Zil nakninu lecha agavara. Make a kinyan agav karka. Meaning you see over here the concept of the receipt. The receipt is brought down here. But he just asked that maybe the guy's going to die, and then if the guy's going to die, what's that? But you see that there's a concept of the receipt, and then afterwards he comes and he says, make a kinyan agavara. Eta, right? At ketov la nitkabalti. And then you come and you're going to write, hi kabalti maoti, I received the money. Ki had Rav Papa masik treisar al fezuze bechozai. Because Rav Papa had 12,000 zuz, right, on a chov of bechozai. Akninu nale Rav Shmuel bar Abba, and he acquired it to Rav Shmuel bar Abba. Okay, Agav asifa debate, right, with the corner of the house, like the miftan of the house. Okay, if it's made out of wood or made out of this, okay, fine. It's like karka. Okay, so he says, right. So what happens now? He says, "Kiata nafik lapeh tavach." But Papa came out to go to him. Why? Because he was so happy that he got the money back. Okay, fine. So that's the way to get out of it, right? You're going to make a kinyan agav karka. Okay. Okay. Next, 2 dots. Natan lo kerem, and if what happens? He gave him the principal, but he didn't give him the chomesh, so he doesn't have to go after him. Almas, you see from here, chomesh mamonahu. So kamla, the chomesh is considered money, right? We might, and if the guy dies, Mishalim le'yoshim, has to give it to the yoshim. I mean, it's not considered a knas. I mean, the extra fifth that a person has to pay when he steals and then he rejects it and then he swears falsely, that extra fifth is money. It's not considered a penalty. We also learned in the Mishnah, Alma, you see from here that if you're telling me now that you're going to pay a chomesh on another chomesh, so everything is money. It's not a penalty. The Tanya Yach, you also learned in the Braita, Hagozel chavro nishbalo umet. If somebody steals from his friend and then he says, no, he didn't steal, then he swore, and then the guy dies, Yoshim Mishlamim Kerem Chomesh, so Yoshim have to pay the Kerem Chomesh. Utunim in Asham, but they don't have to come and bring an Asham because there's no kapara for the metim. Okay? So says the Gemara, Yoshim b'nei Shlum echumsha. Why does the Yoshim have to come and pay the Chomesh? Right? So you see from here, obviously, that obviously it's money. It's not considered a penalty. Because if not, they don't have to pay a penalty for the father. Or meaning we have a contradiction. I'm still going to say, Ematai, when are these words? When does the person not have to pay chomesh on the stealing of his father? If he didn't swear, not him and not the father. Right? Or if it was him and not the father not him, or both of them minayin. It has to be the same person. And since it's not the same person that stole or that did this, so he doesn't have to do that. So Rav Nachman says, La kashas on a question, kan shoda, kan sholoda. The Braita that comes and says that the Yoshim are obligated to pay the Chomesh is talking about where the father already admitted before he died. And therefore, in such a case, the Yoshim have to pay it back from the properties. But in the other Braita, where it says it's going to be patud, he was never modeh. So since he was never modeh, that's why he doesn't have to pay back, right, the Chomesh. So ask the Gemara, ilo hoda, I don't understand you. If he wasn't modeh, so he doesn't even have to pay the keren then. He doesn't even have to pay the principal. If he was never modeh, he doesn't have to pay the chomesh. He doesn't have to pay the keren. So says the Gemara, you're going to say you're right. Obviously, if you're telling me now that you have to give back the chomesh, you obviously have to give back the keren, right? We also learned, when does a person pay the keren, the principal on the stealing of the father? Only if both of them swore. But if the father swore, not him and not the father, nor him nor the father, how do we know? So we learn from here. What does that mean? That means in such certain cases, the chayav l'shalem et keren of the we're learning from here. Yesh Talmud. What does that mean? Yesh Talmud. The Gemara is going to explain. Yeah, the Gemara is going to explain. Okay, so the Gemara says, right? Yativ Ravuna v'Kamma l'shmata v'Amaleh Rabbi Yesh Talmud Kamma more. What does it mean now? Right, that we're saying now Yesh Talmud. Right, is he going to be doresh from the Katuv l'chayev the Yoshim? What does that mean now when we're talking about Gezelah Oshet Pidon Avida? Because it's in the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Tashita Gezelah Gezal or Eto Shekel Shelo Et Pidon Shovkad Ito or Et Avida Shematza." So what does that mean? O Yesh Talmud Kamma. What does that mean? Yesh Talmud Kamma or Yesh Talmud Kamma? Or maybe Yesh Talmud means that it's a svara. That means we're saying that all these things which are written in the pasuk, right? If it was going to be in the hands of the father and he died, the Yoshim are obligated to pay it. But it's not that you're learning it from the pasuk. So Yesh Talmud means you're actually learning it from the pasuk. Oh no, Stam Yesh Talmud, you pay. So Elmaleh, he says Yesh Talmud Kamina. He says no, I'm learning it from an extra part of the pasuk. Okay, and therefore, since from the ribui, that's what he's doing. So basically, since it's written Veshivo, and we're talking about the extra, so that's what we're saying that you're going to pay because of the extra words in the pasuk. So says the Gemara, Elamai lo hoda. So what does it mean now, lo hoda? Lo hoda vi hoda beno. It means that the father didn't admit that he stole, but the son admitted that he stole. And that's why we're saying that you would have to actually pay. Okay, so says the Gemara, says 1 second. So then the son should pay the chomesh on the gezel of the father because of the shavua that he himself did then. Right? So Amri, they said, it's not here anymore. So since it's not here anymore, that's why the son is going to be patur from the chomesh, because only if the gezelah is here do you have to pay back the chomesh. So says the Gemara, if it's not here, so afilu keren nami lo mishalem. So you shouldn't even pay the keren then. So says the Gemara, what are we talking about? You had the achrayun nechasim, which means that there was like the karkaot and the fields and all these things that is going to be the it's like it has a guarantee. So ask the Gemara, what do I care? It's still about pay. Because at the end of the day, the obligation to pay back is only by it's oral. It was stealing. It wasn't a debt document. So Amri, so they answered, the father already went in front of the beddin, and the beddin already said that he's chayav to pay back. So since the beddin already said that he's going to be chayav to pay back, so therefore he has to pay back also from the properties of the father, even though the father already came and he passed away.